All right. Well, good morning, and thank you so much for tuning into the Real Estate Heavyweights podcast. And this is our special holiday entrance episode. It's Thanksgiving week. We've got a lot going on as far as families and cooking, and we're going to get into that and some of our traditions and what this time of year means for us, and what's going on with our real estate stuff. But on Fridays, we come to you with a deep dive into the market. We talk about some of the news that's going on, and just talk about what's going on in our lives. And if you don't know, I'm Ashton Hines. I am a physical therapist assistant, full-time working home health, just driving around all day helping people figure out how not to fall, figure out how to override the oldness that comes into all of our lives at some point. And I do that. I'm also a realtor. I'm also a real estate investor. I'm working on flip number 4. Helping me out with that is a good friend, mentor, just overall good dude who's also with us the second half of the Real Estate Heavyweights podcast. It is Tavis Westbrook. What's up, Tavis?
What's up? Good morning. We are all in this week. All in.
And what's crazy about Tavis's family. So I think I've talked about it maybe once, but you're gonna have to go a little bit into depth about what your family scene is around the holidays, because man, it's Thanksgiving week. We actually are staying in town. Typically, my wife's family's from Little Rock, my family's from Austin. We kind of switch off, and so usually we're out of town for Thanksgiving, and then Christmas we go to the other family. It's happened a few times where we've been around, and it just so happens that this year we're in town. And so we're getting together with some friends next door. I've got actually a client that moved to town recently, and I invited him and his wife to come to lunch. And so we've got some stuff going on. And, I'm going to Kroger. I went to Kroger this morning at 6 a.m. so I could get my stuff out of the way and not have to deal with the people. But then you talk to Tavis, and I feel like I'm cooking for a lot of people, right? Tavis, like, it doesn't matter whether any weekend of the year, he's got some party he's doing for about 50 people, because he comes from a large family, his wife comes from a large family, and their house is this like cultural hub of friends and family, and it's like a constant. I don't know how you stock your fridges and your pantry. But yeah, how many people are you guys expecting for Thanksgiving? You mentioned something. I'm sure the number has increased since the last time we talked.
I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere between 50 and 75 people. I mean,
dang,
mind you, it's a lot of kids too, right? Yeah. So speaking about large, I mean, I'm the third out of 8, and my wife's the oldest out of 7. So
that's crazy.
Just to give you a bigger idea, and I think you experienced a little bit of this at Landon's birthday back in May, and that wasn't even half of them, right, that were here, but it was a pretty good crew. Right. And then we have, friends that are like family, and they have kids, and then they have grown kids too, and so then those grown kids have kids, right? So it's like multi-generations, that are here. A lot of our close siblings and friends are now grandparents as well, right? So like our oldest son is 30. Well, he's going to be 30. He'll probably be mad at me for saying he's 30 already. He'll be 30 in February, right? So he's married with a son, and so technically Tabitha and I are grandparents, right? And have been now for the last almost 2 years, which is crazy, right? Because I'm 43 with a 10-year-old grandson, right? So anyways, it just kind of gives you a little bit of the dynamic there. But so Tabitha and I think we're up to 54 nieces and nephews, I think is where we're at right now.
Good grief.
So
I think I've got 6. No, I got, let's see, we've got 4, 5. I mean, under 10, easy, between Karen's side and my side. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I bet we're under 10 total. And it's crazy. I was saying that we could sneak in the back door of y'all's place, eat, leave, and probably wouldn't. No one would. They might think, who was that random? There's some random cousin from Arkansas that just came in. they just kind of lost track of, and we just
Well,
left.
I mean, you
But
absolutely could, and I think we've talked about this before. You know, at Halloween we have a big shindig here as well because our neighborhood has been kind of a hot spot in Plano for the last 30 years, and we're on a feeder street to this main, event, if you will. And so we've participated as long as we've been here. We've been here, um, you know, 18, 19 years, right? As long as we've been in this house. And so, um, that being said, we always have a big event, and it's always on Halloween. And of course, the families grow, and then we've got again the other people that are considered family that are outside that always show up. Well, last year and this year, well, at least there's been a year before, we've seen people in our house because we do like spaghetti for everybody, and there's people in our kitchen eating, drinking beer, hanging out. I have no clue who they are. My wife has no clue who they are. Like somebody took a picture of them, and I sent them to because some of my guys show up, right? Like Angel's been, Pablo's been, like it's a lot of
okay,
different people that work for me. I invite them to show up. And so I'm like sending them pictures. Like it was a Hispanic family, and I'm
this guy.
like, "Do you guys know this family?" And they're like, "No." Nobody knew them. So I think they just
That's
followed
funny,
somebody in because there's like a train of people that line up to the front
right?
door to get candy, and then half of that train actually moves forward into the house because they belong here.
Take
And
spaghetti.
so it this year I'm standing in the living room, like it's like three ladies standing in my entryway of the foyer. I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" And I have no clue who they are. I don't know who they belong to. They're just
Right.
standing in the living room, like looking
That's
around,
funny.
like I think they're checking out the remodel or something. But they just, door stays
Yeah.
open and like people just float in. So yeah, no, you
Yeah.
definitely could
Well,
fit right in. Like there's not going to be
yeah.
anybody that like stops the music when Ashton and his family walks in. It's
Right.
just, you know, our
Yeah.
saying
Well,
goes,
you
and you
guys
know
do it
this
right.
being a you've known this going out to the lake, and I think now it probably makes a little bit more sense. But everybody's somebody is what we is our
Mm.
slogan, right? Or what we that's kind of our mantra here at the house, and it's what we
Yeah.
named our boat as well. But you get a little bit of that,
Yeah. That's
right? Just
cool.
from you being around a few times, you can kind of see what
Oh yeah.
that means.
Everybody's
So
welcome. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You guys do a great job, and I know it's a great service for your family and all the friends. I mean, because y'all, that's a ton of work. I mean, I know how much work it is to cook for a smaller group of people, but that many people, it's insane. So, well, why don't we're going to touch on a little bit of a market update. Let's get started with that. So, um, a few reports came out this week. It's hinting that the market is slowing down in the DFW area, probably across the United States. DFW is typically a decent barometer for the United States. It's kind of an average market. It's gone a little hot over the last few years, but so prices are dipping a little bit. And I know last time Tavis actually mentioned this statistic where there's more price decreases on homes on the MLS than there are new listings, and so that's an indicator. Tavis, I know you sent me an article that was talking about some of the market indicators. What are you seeing? What are you hearing from people? I know it's slowing down a little bit, so talk a little bit about what people are saying.
yeah, so I believe the article I sent you was kind of actually something that's you know attractive to us, and we talk about just being in the investment side of things, and it was talking about buying homes that are going to be held for your rent portfolio. The old um, saying that was really popular for the last several years was the Burr method, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
buy, renovate, refinance, repeat, and it's BRRR, right? And so, anyways, that was kind of the headline of the topic, if you will. And one of the things that was discussed was this particular person that has a pretty big portfolio. I think that her and her husband have somewhere around 40 million in real estate right now. And her target is kind of outside of the metro DFW. She kind of hits these outline areas um, and these outer counties, if you will, and a lot of lower end price points on stuff. But I think she's targeting new builds in the outside areas and putting more money down, so 35% to get more of a premium rate. She says that with her bank,
Mm-hmm.
she's able to get somewhere in the high sixes and sevens. But she's doing kind of more of like a bulk type of loan, right? Where it's like multiple properties or a portfolio type of loan. And so doing that strategically, she can do that with a more long term fixed rate versus doing something that's, a short term, or like most of my bank loans, for instance, have a 5 year maturity on a 20 or 25-year amortized loan. Um, that being said, her, comment was, you know, right now there's still new builds going on, and these accelerate really well if attacking some of these outlying areas that are new construction. Obviously, maintenance wise is going to be extremely low, and your insurance rates are going to be great because it's a brand new construction, but the appreciation is
Mm-hmm.
huge. And so um, in her concept, it's like, well, it's not as much of a cash flow game. We're putting a little bit more money down, but we're investing in these properties in these outlying areas, and rents are increasingly high, and they're going to continue to go up because of inventory that's out there. And inventory has been statistically low when it comes to um, what's out there. I mean, we're still feeling the effects from a couple years ago when inventory was low and a lot of the housing was bought up and things like that. So a lot of people that couldn't buy have been forced to rent, and then you've got people that were forced to rent, and then now the rates have changed so much, so now their buying power is not what it used to be. So what's their best option? Well, continue to rent, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
because the buying power may have changed by $1,000 a month, you know, in price
Yeah.
points because of what the interest rates have done. So, um,
Yeah.
anyways, that was it was interesting to kind of hear it from that perspective, and I've heard that before. Um, of kind of looking at some of these outline areas, especially like when you look at where business growth is and things like that. When you look up north, in Grayson County and stuff up
Mm-hmm.
there bordering, uh, southeast Oklahoma and stuff like that. Different things that are
Yeah.
coming up. So
Things are definitely, in the DFW area, things are definitely creeping north. There's actually a good bit of development, Waxahachie area, kind of going back towards Waco. So, there's several places that you can see development, but a lot of it for us is up in the Salina, north of Frisco, north of McKinney, creeping towards Oklahoma. And I think that build to rent model is really interesting. One of a long-term goal. I know you've done the new build thing once or twice, and or maybe more, but I know that's not as appealing to you. The timeline is, from an investment standpoint, your timelines are much longer. You're having to hold a loan longer. Your cycle is just different. There's different permitting. There's the actual land development, that sort of thing. But for me, maybe a long-term goal would be to try, to do a small neighborhood, a little 20 or 30 house development. And even if you did it more of the affordable build to rent type thing, I think that seems really neat. It's you're not doing these multi-million-dollar projects, units themselves. You're in the real sweet spot of where people will buy. um, and I would just like to do the new build thing. It's at some point. Now maybe I may kick myself and after the fact say that was a bad idea, but in my mind as an investor, that is one of my goals. I would love to do a new build. I grew up in the blinds and shutters business, doing blinds and shutters and new builds. I was in all those neighborhoods for a long time, and I just enjoy it. So I'd like to try it out. So I don't know. We'll see how the market keeps going with that. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the news. So, not a lot happening. In the DFW area, there's always, buildings trading hands and shopping centers changing, but nothing huge came up this week. But there was an article that came out, and it listed the top 25 elementary schools in the DFW area. And, if you're new to the DFW area, or if you're considering moving here and you're just trying to get a feel for the real estate, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us. But if you're a real estate agent and you are trying to find the best spot for a client, a lot of people start with schools, and they start with maybe a high school district, or they know they have kids that are going to be in the elementary school, so they start with an elementary school. So I thought it was a really interesting article. Not too surprising for us, basically follow the money and the tax base. And the more expensive the houses, typically the better the elementary schools are. Crazy to find out. And so you have several in the Highland Park district. You have the Capel area, the Carroll ISD, South Lake Carroll, and then sort of near us, there's Lovejoy, which is over by Lucas and Allen. And then you have some McKinney schools, I think a few Frisco schools, and I know one Prosper. So that northern, a little bit north of Plano. Yeah, that north of Plano area.
Prosper. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't spent a lot of time up in Prosper. That was the one that actually made national news recently because they were trying to spend $94 million on a football stadium, which actually got voted down. I thought that was really, actually, that was one of 2 or 3 bond issues that got voted down. It's like this time people just said enough is enough. We're not doing that. One of them was in Louisville ISD. They voted down some improvements to football stadiums and band fields and that sort of thing. And then you have the one up in Prosper got voted down, and there was another big one that got voted down. So that made news, where up until now people have kind of been just sort of rubber stamping those things, like, sure, yeah, build it, but not this time. Not
that's because
we're
getting stung by our property taxes. So now it's like we've been feeling the pain, right, over the last couple of years with property tax increases. So I think you're going to get more pushback when somebody's going, wait, this property tax increase is now going towards the stadium, and my kids graduated. Like, I don't need to go to the stadium. What do I need that for? So I think that's probably a direct effect.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if it's sort of like the frog in boiling water and it creeps up every year, it's hard to know. But man, when it jumps up 2, 3, 4 years in a row, and your mortgage really, really bumps up several $100s in a few years, if not more, I mean, it is a real issue. So yeah, you're right. I mean, if they're starting to take a look at this and say, look, this is just not sustainable, and I don't really care if, I have a really comfortable seat on a Friday night, I will never go to that stadium. I'm sure it's very, very difficult to, internalize that. So, the parts of town that, it's talking about, it's not surprising. These are some of the highest tax rates. You're going to have some of your most expensive houses, your Highland Park, your University Park, which is central Dallas, a little bit north of downtown. And then, South Lake, very high end. If you ever wanted a house with land, if you want a couple acres, you're going to be going to the Lovejoy area. There's a few out in the Flower Mound. There's some neighborhoods out there, some horse farm type stuff, but Lucas and that sort of thing. So I thought that was interesting. It's a very expensive part of town, but not necessarily because the houses are crazy, although there are some nice ones, but a lot of it's because of land. So if you want to live the I own a horse life here in DFW, you're definitely going to the Lucas area or over towards Flower Mound, a little bit out that way, Fort Worth, on the borders out there. So, but you can find some great schools, obviously. So anyway, just wanted to give a little nod to that article that was talking about some of the highlights for our school districts. I always like, we were talking briefly about this, I always like having a little bit of a marketing angle when I'm selling a house. And, I start with the school district, and for instance, I just sold one up in Frisco, and I knew that we were the cheapest 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom and with this square footage in a high school area. And Tavis, you agree with that to an extent, but you had a little bit of another take on that. So give me your take there, and then we'll move on to our next section. We're going to talk about a little bit more about holidays.
Yeah, my thoughts were just, it's kind of like one of those things when people, it's almost a kiss of death, right? When they list their property, and you've seen this before, and they put on there, don't miss this property, won't last long. And you look at the days on the market, and it's like 120 days.
Yeah. So
that's kind of my take.
That. You should go edit that.
Yeah, you should definitely take that out at this time, right? That's part of my thoughts is just, you had mentioned that before, about a property, and saying, hey, I should market that, that we're the lowest priced in this area, or in the school district. At the end of the day, it's kind of relative. I think it's more about the overall package. And one of the thoughts that we had touched on was, um, in this day and age, you might see it happen on the investment side, where people point and click with a mouse and say, I'm buying this house. But traditionally speaking, when you're selling to the retail market, that's not going to happen. Somebody physically needs to walk in that house and make a decision if that home is for them. And my years in real estate, at the majority of the time, somebody's top pick on what I send them, or what they're showing me that they found on the internet, is usually not the one that they end up going with, right? And that could be, for multiple reasons, but a lot of times it could be that you have one property that looks really, really good on the marketing, and then you show up and it's not that at all, or they left some things out that you didn't know about until you physically walk it, right? It could be a location thing, it could be a funky floor plan, it could be that they highlighted the master bath and then all the rest of the bathrooms are dated, or et cetera.
Yeah.
So it could
It's
be several
always a
things
bad
like
sign
that.
when it's always a bad sign when you have 36 pictures allocated on the MLS and they spend the first 7 or 8 on the foyer and then the next 7 or 8 on one bathroom. This is a red flag, because they have the option to go ahead and show the whole house. But for some reason, I'm getting the fourth angle of the fireplace. And I'm like, man, there's something's weird here.
Yeah, or you get 5 to 10 pictures of the front elevation. Like, how many
Right.
different ways do you want to show me the front elevation of this home before I actually walk in the front door? Um, so
Yep,
no,
exactly.
that is one of those things. I mean, I think marketing is huge, because I think at the end of the day, what I was telling Ashton is, look, at the end of the day, you need to get somebody in that door. So whatever your marketing is done through MLS, through pre-marketing, through Facebook, whatever it is, get somebody to walk through the door. So that has to do with, what your overall price is, what you're offering for the property as far as, function and purpose, and then location, right? So, I mean, location, location, location. So first off, it's going to be location driven, and then, price and how it fits in that pocket, and then any kind of cool features, any kind of highlighted features that you can show that your home is unique compared to something else. I think that advertising the price point is something that somebody can find on their own, or they can find it if they like the home, but they have to like the home first,
Yeah,
right? It's like saying
sure.
that you can go buy an off brand of chili, for instance, and you might be able to buy it super cheap, but it tastes like crap. Are you going to go and
Sure.
buy it just because it's priced cheap? No.
Yeah.
You want what
No,
you
I
want.
get
Now, if it's the premium chili and it's priced cheap, then okay, that's a different story, right? So
yeah.
it's like you've got to make sure that what you're putting out there, your marketing, is premium for what you're advertising, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that way it drags people
Yeah,
in the door.
for sure. And I mean, that's where I look at it. I look at it from a value proposition. And if you're comparing for instance, we had people walking into that house in Frisco. I wanted to be able to give the value proposition, like, look, this is the best value you're going to get for this money. For if you need 4 bedrooms, this is the best value you're going to get. And I wanted to have that to where it could at least have that in their mind. Like, if you're going to go shopping around, that's fine. Go find another 4 bedroom. If that's what you need,
Right.
though, you're gonna spend another $100,000. This is a great house for this sort of overlook. Okay, maybe because of X, Y, and Z, but if you need this and you want this school district, this is the best option for you. So anyway, that's a
Yeah.
little bit of
I
the
guess
take on
my
that.
take
So
on that is
well,
they should know that without you having to say it, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like you should go into it with that mentality, but I don't think you have to advertise that piece of it. I think that
sure,
the home should speak for it. So it's kind of like what you're doing on your project right now. We feel really confident, and now we've got a location thing that we've got to overcome over there, but we feel like you're pricing it aggressively enough compared to the stuff that has sold recently that we're accommodating for that, to where that buyer coming in goes,
Sure.
yeah, you know, can I get over that for the price? You know, can I get over the fact that it backs
Hmm.
to a busy road for the price point and everything else this home offers me? Like, this is an incredible package. Yes, I wish it was across the street, but if it was across the street, this home might be $25,000-$50,000 more money than what it's advertised for now,
Yeah.
right? So that's where
Sure.
you have to kind of take that approach.
Yeah. No doubt. All right. Well, it is the week of Thanksgiving. We're coming up on to Christmas, and we wanted to get into a special segment where we talk about our holiday traditions. And it is pertinent to real estate. And I have a lot of clients that have come in from out of town. That's kind of, for whatever reason, the experience I've had with real estate is I've actually concentrated a lot on open houses, and I just have people who are coming into town for a weekend. They don't know anyone. So I've had several people who have come in from out of state, and I just love showing them around town and telling them about different things that they have to offer. And so we were going to talk a little bit about kind of our holiday must do's, must haves, for our families and then around town. So I'll go ahead and start. For me, we've grown up in the DFW. We got here about 12 years ago, and so our kids were pretty young when we first got here. And so I love everything that Grapevine has to offer around this season. They have the Santa Claus train, which I guess booked up in June or July this year.
The
Like, you
Polar
can't even get
Express.
on there. The Polar Express, man, if you can go do the Polar Express, where it's a cool experience, and Mrs. Claus is there handing out cookie and milk on the cookies and milk, and then you get to the destination, you get to meet Santa, and it's a train. Man, it's super, super cool experience.
Yeah.
But over there at Grapevine, I mean, they've got the Gaylord Texan. They've got this whole ice display we go to every year. At the You can walk through, like, they build these huge ice sculptures. It's awesome, and the Gaylord just does an amazing job of decorating. So it's worth going and spending a night there, or going to dinner there, just to experience Christmas at the Gaylord Texan. And downtown Lewis, or downtown Grapevine, I just think they have got that time of year kind of figured out. So that, for me, we used to go over to the Deerfield Lights in Plano, but my blood pressure can't handle Deerfield Lights anymore, and so I I got stuck. One day I got stuck there. I'm like, I got to get out, and
I
I
was going to
backed
say,
into a
what is it
mailbox.
about that? What made your blood pressure go up, Ashton?
Well, it was not a them problem. It was a me problem. But I was just stuck on a street and I couldn't get out, and it was just like gridlocked. I'm like, okay, we're out. I'm done. I'm done. And of course, my family wants to see one more street, and you don't want to be a big jerk around Christmas. So anyway, we'll do it from time to time. But Deerfield Lights, if you have never done it, I don't want to spoil your fun. Go check out Deerfield Lights in Plano. It's awesome. But if you've done it a few times, maybe maybe go to Grapevine. So anyway, what are some things around town that you really enjoy, Tavis?
So Deerfield is actually one of them that our youngest son now is 18, so he doesn't have much interest anymore, and you know sometimes you kind of see the same homes, but one of the cool things that we started a couple years ago, as I mentioned earlier, we have a grandson now, and he's 10, and his buddy, and then we have other like nieces and nephews and stuff that we've kind of made it kind of a cool thing, and some of the kids that had experienced it for the first time ever, like their parents had never taken them to look at Christmas lights in all of their life. We've even got a couple
Mm,
kids that are like 15, 16, had never done it before, but it was kind of an event. It
wow.
was like, hey, we're going to stop at Starbucks. We're going to get everybody hot chocolate, and
Yep.
everybody's
Yep.
going to load it
We
in the
do that
back of my
too.
truck, and we're going to blare Christmas music, and you got blankets, and
Yeah.
you're going to cruise through with your lights off through Deerfield, and I've learned kind of the way to go in and go out off of some of the side streets and go in, so it's not as hectic just waiting 30 minutes to get
Yeah.
into the main entrance. But anyways, it's kind
Yeah.
of become kind of cool, and this year we had this he's varsity football now. He's like, I believe he's a sophomore, you know, big, full of testosterone, 16-year-old boy. and he was asking my sister-in-law, can we go do lights this year? Can we go see
Yeah.
Deerfield? So that's cool. It
Now I
kind
will
of warms our
say,
heart to do something like that. It's cool, and you definitely
yeah,
have to have the patience. You got to go into the mind. You can't be in a rush. You can't be on a timeline, Ashton. When you go, you just got to kind of
no,
be open
yeah.
minded.
I'm sorry I ruined your kid's experience 2 years ago with some guys freaking out trying
Honking
to
the horn,
tear
get
across
out
a
of my
yard.
way. We
Yeah,
just thought you
who's
were
this
somebody that
jerk?
lived in the neighborhood. That's all. I can't imagine living
Yeah.
there and going through
No,
that every year.
heck no. Heck no. Now I
So
will
no,
say that
that's
last year, I was going to say last year we tried to do the Starbucks hot chocolate, and my mom was in town, and I think my sister was here, and so we actually went instead of Deerfield, we went the other way, and we went down to the Park Cities, and they actually have carriage rides down there,
there.
and
You go.
so we
Yeah.
didn't do the carriage ride, but you can go up and down those streets. So we did that tradition, and I actually really do like it, and
Yeah.
we put the Christmas music on. It's just not as stressful down there, and
Yeah.
you have to sort of pay attention because if you freak out, you're going to kill a horse or two because there's
Well, they
carriages
do that
everywhere.
in
And
Deerfield
so,
too.
but yeah, they need
They
to get
have the
rid of those
carriage
over
rides
in
and
Deerfield. I can't handle Deerfield, man.
no, they definitely have the
I just
carriage
can't do
rides
it.
there as well. So, but no,
Yeah. Well,
we've
good
been
luck with
down
all
in
that.
we've been we've been down in Highland Park as well in the past. But no, that's something cool to do. I think you hit the nail on the head talking about Grapevine and the things over there. And we haven't been there in a while. We did the Polar Express one time. Landon obviously was much younger. I was just recently telling somebody about it here, like a couple days ago, just talking about that experience, and it's fun. It's
Yeah, that's
definitely for
fun.
younger kids. I think Landon might have been a little older when we took him. He was, a little like, okay, I'm kind of over it. But I
Yeah.
definitely think it's something to experience. It's cool because you actually get on one of the old trains and you actually
Mm-hmm.
go on the train ride, and it's a whole event. So it's amazing to me that it's
Yeah.
sold out, like you said. I'm sure they'll probably
Yeah.
start kicking something like that off in like Salina or something. Anywhere where there's like
I hope
another
so.
train track and trains, I can imagine that kind of becoming a thing. Um,
Yeah.
so no, I think it's exciting coming into this year, this new year. And we're wrapping up the year, just getting into the holiday season. It's funny. I'm kind of more of the Grinch, the Scrooge at home, I guess, because I I love the Christmas spirit. I love the concept of family. I love the nuances of joining together anything from Thanksgiving through Christmas season. I'm not a big fan of the present giving. That's something I grew up and we didn't get a lot of presents, but we enjoyed the family time. And now my wife comes from the side that like goes bananas when it comes to giving, and she loves to give, and it's great, and that's her thing. Is she absolutely loves it, and her sisters love it. Just along with that comes more stress, right? And then
Yeah.
the thing that bothers me is like kids end up becoming to expect it, and that's what I don't like about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it becomes an
Yeah.
expected thing of gift giving or gift receiving, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm like, there's so
Plus,
much
with
more
50
here.
kids come, plus with 50 people coming around, you have to flip another house just to finance
Well, yeah,
Christmas for
no,
like.
there's definitely, there's financial stress that kind of, spreads like wildfire throughout the family and other siblings and other
Yeah.
people that stress out and like,
No.
I mean, they start
Yeah.
like saving and buying stuff in like July and August, for Christmas. And I'm like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
God, really? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm definitely a little bit more of the Grinch. I'm labeled with that, but I will say, my wife spends inordinate amounts of time making bows and trying to make
Yes.
things look nice. And I usually protest on some level, but deep down I do appreciate the effort, and it looks awesome, and I love the house looking nice, and I really do love this time of year. I actually just love the fact that Shop's a Legacy and all that, they string the Christmas lights around the trees, and you can just drive around town. And one time a year I like to go to a mall just once to walk through the mall and see the Christmas stuff and kind of have have that feeling of, that time of year. But, I don't want to go, I get a little, that Deerfield nervousness just starts happening if I'm in a mall and there's just that, it's just too many people. It's just something's not right about it. It's just something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I'll go to North Park one time, walk around, enjoy the Christmas spirit there, and have a great time with that. So,
And
well, good deal, man.
We've become more of the Amazon hub now. So like it's bad
Yeah.
when you have two Amazon trucks pull up back to back with both beds, like right in the middle of, right in front of your house, and they're swapping gifts. Like we become like this hub of the neighborhood, because we're usually a pit stop. So it gets a little crazy.
But between Christmas and trying to get stuff for your next midterm, you definitely keep Amazon in business for sure. So well, good, Neil, man. Well, we will have to at some point soon. We'll talk about some of our favorite restaurants and our favorite places to go around the holidays, because I've got opinions about that, and it's all good. I love restaurants. I love sending people to certain parts of town because it just got a cool vibe and got cool holiday things going on. So we'll touch on that in the future one. So if you don't know, I'm Ashton Hines, Dallas real estate guy on Instagram. Try to post about all my flips and all the stuff going on that I've got. So please follow me there. If you have not done so already, please like and subscribe to the podcast. We're on all the different platforms. You can link it. You can send a copy to a friend. And so all I want for Christmas this year is from one of our listeners or two of our listeners to send a link of our podcast to a friend and say, hey, you should check this out, because we're trying to make it to where it's useful to you and some value and fun and all that stuff. And so just say thank you by pushing the like button every once in a while and sending it to a friend. I would definitely love you forever. So Tavis, tell people how to get in touch with you, and we will check back with you next time.
I'm Tavis Westbrook, and you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. It's Tavis, like Travis, with no R. So look forward to hearing from you guys. And like Ashton said, please like and share and subscribe, and give us feedback. There is a review option there on the different platforms that we are broadcasted to. So look forward to seeing what you guys say and what you guys would like to see here in the future. And we'll talk to you next week.